Okay, one thing you need to realize when I make these videos is that I can talk a lot faster in these, and I need to talk faster in these, otherwise they take forever to upload. So you may have to pause it, write things down, come back and replay it. So just be prepared for that if you're feeling frustrated because you feel like I'm talking too fast. Today we're going on to section 2.3, which is solving inequalities using multiplication and division. Yesterday we solved inequalities using addition and subtraction. Today, we're going to solve inequalities using multiplication and division. Now, luckily, just like yesterday, this solving is much like the solving of equations. But this is where, when we introduce addition or multiplication and division, things are going to change a little bit. So today you are going to solve the inequality, graph the solution. These are still going to be one-step equations. So first one, x over 3 equals, x over 3 is greater than or equal to 10. So once again, we still have the same goal. Our goal is to get the variable by itself. Here is our variable. What's attached to the variable is this 3. How it's attached is division. So we're going to undo that by multiplying both sides by 3. I'm using parentheses to show my multiplication. So on the left-hand side here, a times 3 and a divide by 3 cancel, and we're left with x. Symbol stays the same. 10 times 3 is 30. When we go to graph this on the number line, once again, make sure you have 0 on there. You don't have to count out 30 numbers. I've talked about that before. On 30, because of the equals to sign, we're going to put a closed dot. And then we want the numbers that are bigger than or equal to 30, so we're going to shade to the right. So as you can see, it's much like solving an equation with the inequality symbol in here. However, there is one rule that we have to remember. So this is the one rule when solving inequalities. If you multiply or divide both sides by a negative number, if you multiply or divide both sides by a negative number, then you must, I'm going to put this in quotes, flip the inequality. So here's an example of that. Negative 6y is less than or equal to 12. So here's our variable y. What's attached to y is this negative 6. How it's attached is by multiplication. So we are going to divide both sides by that negative 6. This is why when we were solving equations, I used to get so irritated that you didn't understand we were undoing multiplication here and that we would keep this sign the same, because I knew this was coming up eventually. So my negative 6 divided by negative 6 cancels. When I go to bring down the sign, in this previous step right here, I divided by a negative. That's what I did there. Because I divided by a negative number, this inequality symbol is going to switch directions. So it's going to become y is greater than or equal to negative 2. 12 divided by negative 6 is negative 2. Go to graph it. On negative 2, we're going to put a closed circle. We're going to shade to the right. And there is our solution. Another example here. X divided by negative 2 is less than 5. So once again here, this is our variable x. What's attached to it is negative 2. How it's attached is by division. So we're going to undo that division by multiplying both sides by -2. So over here, my -2 times and my -2 divide cancels, and I'm left with x. Right here in this previous step, I was multiplying by a negative. Up here, we multiplied both sides to solve as well, but what we multiplied by was a +3. Here, we're multiplying by a negative. That's what makes the inequality switch. So 5 times -2 is -10. There is our solution. Make your number line. On -10, because there's no equals to sign, I'm going to put an open circle, and then I'm shading to the right. Now you have to be very, very careful. I'm not saying that the rule is anytime you multiply by a negative number, you are going to switch the sign. That's not what's happening here. So for example, in this one, we have 2x is less than or equal to -5, okay? 2x is less than or equal to -5. Actually, let's make this, oh, we'll just leave it that. That's fine, yeah. So what's attached to the x is a 2. How it's attached is multiplication. So to undo that, I'm going to divide both sides by 2. My 2's are going to cancel. I'm left with x. In this step right here, I'm dividing by a +2. Since I'm dividing by a positive number, the symbol is going to stay the same. It's not because you're taking a -5 and dividing it by a +2. It's what you are dividing by if it's negative, switches the sign. So -5 over 2 is -2.5. Go ahead and graph that. I'm going to have a solid point on 2.5 negative because of the equals to sign, and then we're going to be shading to the left. Okay, one last thing that's going to come up in this section is when we have, and we've had these before, but I think we need a little reminder. Let's make it this. There we go. I think we need a little reminder here. So we have -4/5 times x is greater than or equal to 16. So there's my variable. What's attached to it is -4/5. How it's attached is multiplication. So to undo that, I'm going to divide both sides by -4/5. So my -4/5 are going to cancel. In this step right here, I was dividing by a -4/5. Since that's negative, my inequality symbol is going to flip. This needs to be put in your calculator. If you don't remember how, there's 2 different ways. You're going to enter 16, the divide by, and then you got to enter this fraction all as a fraction inside a parentheses. So parenthesis, -4 divided by 5, end parenthesis. And when you do that, you'll end up getting, the calculator actually will end up giving you the correct answer, which is -20. The other way to enter this in the calculator is if you do the green alpha button, and I don't have my calculator here, so I can't show you. So if you push that, and then y equals, and then the little menu is going to show up, and it's going to be on this top one, so you just hit enter, and then it will make the boxes for you, and you can enter that into the calculator. When we go to graph this, again, you don't have to make every single mark. Solid dot to the left, shade the arrow. Google Classroom has your assignment, so go ahead and look that up. I don't remember it off the top of my head. and go back and rewatch this if you need to. You need to have both the assignments done for tomorrow. The one from section 2.2 and now the section 2.3.